Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to, I would usually say if you like this reaction, but it's not really a reaction unless it's counted as a reaction to Katseye being nominated for not one, but 2 Grammys. Not just the one everybody expected, which is Best New Artist, but Best Pop Duo / Group Performance for Gabriela. So before I get started, I'll just say everything as in the description. It's not usually related to, it's not really related to, like I said, usually I'm reacting to an artist and I'm like, hey, and I also post them on Patreon and I react to them on stream. None of that's quite true with Katseye. Not for lack of trying. I do post a little bit of Katseye on Patreon, but for the most part, it's Twice, Bandmade, Bini. But yeah, I would say please do become a free member on Patreon, follow on Twitch, and join the Discord server, especially if you have some more thoughts about this after this is over. But you know, Katseye was nominated for they were nominated for well, I don't know if I need to turn my music off. I'll do it anyway, just in case you guys can't hear me well. They were nominated for 2 Grammys, and as expected, Twitter lost its shit all over the place. And you know, I definitely had a couple little clapback moments. I definitely did do that. But then I was like, you know, I'm too old for this. I'm not trying to argue with these kids. And also, I have a platform where I can just say whatever I want. So I'm gonna just use it. I wish I had really cool editing skills so I can put like the appropriate memes and such up here. But what I do have though is I do have some okay. I'm waiting on my groceries right now, so I'm checking 2 things. But I did take notes because I want to be thorough about this. Because I don't want to just be like, they won, F you, or not. I mean, or they were nominated, F you, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do that because I have actual critical thinking about this. So I have broken this up into sections, like the Grammys in general, the Best New Artist nomination, and then the Best Pop Duo Group, whatever. So the Grammys is what I'm going to start with, okay? The Grammys is mostly going to award Western artists. This is an American specific award ceremony. Is that fair? Is that right? Probably not. That's a separate conversation to have. But the fact remains, it is a Western award. So they have like Best International Artist, Best Afro Beats, Best, like they absolutely do have categories that are specifically designated for non-Western music, but they had to create those categories for a reason, because at the heart of it, it's about Western music. So that's the unfortunate thing about that. It's going to be an extremely rare circumstance where you're going to see a K-pop artist nominated and especially see one win. Now, why am I even talking about K-pop? Katseye is not a K-pop group. We say this until we're blue in the face and people get annoyed. Okay, well, I'm one of the people, actually. I don't say it that often and I do get annoyed at how much Katseye fans are like, they're not K-pop. But I have to apologize because apparently it hasn't been said enough that Katseye is not a K-pop group, because the people who are angriest about their nominations are people who are fans of other K-pop groups, but not fans of Katseye, and some people who think their K-pop groups were more deserving. Katseye is not a K-pop group. And now I think it's pretty clear. I think now all of the confusion will go away. Katseye was 1000% shut out of the Mama Award nominations. You know why? Not just because they're not a K-pop group. They don't do super well in Korea. They don't have a single song in Korean right now. And they've never made any kind of song that I think we would say was K-pop, even sonically, right? So they promote in Korea because they are a Hybe artist. They promote in Korea and other East Asian countries. That's about the extent to which they're connected to K-pop at this point. They were trained under the K-pop methodology, and then they promote in South Korea. That is it. That is it. Because they are under Hybe, they do that. That's it. They have been heavily promoted in the States. That is their bread and butter. That is where, at least right now, Hybe and Geffen, really Geffen, has been focusing their promotion. So again, not a K-pop group. So I don't even understand why this is part of the conversation. I don't understand why fans of some of these other really big K-pop groups are even upset. I don't know why they care. I don't know why they're even having a thought about Katseye being nominated for any Western award. I just don't get it. And they seem to be very confused because they bring up, well, they don't chart on Melon and Apple Music, and they talk about the hentai thing and the circle chart, and I'm like, oh my god, Grammy, the Recording Academy does not care about these things. This has nothing to do with the Grammys. So it's just getting to a point where this whole like, are they K-pop or are they not thing just really took on a different kind of life. And now I understand why that is something that Catseye's fans are quite relentless about in correcting people. Because had everyone understood that, none of this discourse would be happening. Now, I did go to that mostly Western artists are awarded or nominated for like regular Grammy categories. Yeah, they're a global group, so the kind of thing with I'm really interested to see what happens with just as just a side note, I think I'm really interested to see how the global aspect of this goes, how they're gonna be truly global and not just mostly American or mostly Western, because I would like them to be global. I would like them to make some efforts to gain popularity and acknowledgement and recognition in Korea and Japan and absolutely in the Philippines. So crossing my fingers for that, but they're only a year out. And as for this 1 year, the major push has been in the West. It's been in the States and somewhat, and actually just in the States. They only, they're quite popular. I think they're kind of popular in the UK right now, but like they just went to the UK last week, and that was the first time they ever been there, or did any promotions over there. So I really want to see them break out of the States, but as of right now, they're really just being pushed in the States. And I think that K-pop fans need to start taking issue with the Grammys as an organization. Katseye is not the problem. The only out of 12 groups that had submitted for consideration for a Grammy, or like K-pop groups, the only group that got nominated was Huntrix. So your only K-pop representation in terms of nominations at the Grammys is a group that is not K-pop but simply signed under a K-pop company, and then a group that is artists who are voicing characters who are a K-pop group in an all-English American production of an animated film, right? So like that's a problem. And I think that is a problem, and I think that should be addressed. You have global recognition of K-pop as a genre, and their artists do really well on the charts, at least on the world charts, but K-pop artists still are not really getting a lot of recognition at the Grammys. I believe that BTS at one point was nominated for a couple of Grammys. I don't think they won. Rosé is nominated this year for a Grammy, so good luck to her with that. I don't even know which Grammy. But it's very, very hard. Like that we already know that the groups with the most popularity globally outside of K-pop and outside of Korea are Blackpink and BTS. And it's like, that's what you got to be to get nominated for Grammy. Yeah, is that fair? It's probably not. But again, Katseye is not K-pop. And we keep seeing this more and more clear. And I wish people saw it before now, or they would not have had a conniption fit. Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh yes, this idea that I always have to talk about, this idea that Hybe is hot. Every single thing that Katseye does is attributed to, by antis, I believe, is attributed to Hybe payola. Now, that clearly is not a thing for them, because if it was, they wouldn't be as unpopular as they are in Korea, where Hybe has the most power. Please tell me how these girls have not even broken 100,000 sales in South Korea if Hybe payola was going to get them everything that they need and that they wanted. You think that Hybe didn't want Katseye to pop off in South Korea, but it didn't happen. Because again, they're not actually K-pop artists. They're promoting in South Korea. They're promoting in the K-pop circle, you know, going to all the variety shows, doing all the collabs. They're promoting in that circle, but they don't have a song in Korean, and they're just not able to compete with actual K-pop groups. Why wouldn't Hybe? Anyway, and so you think that Hybe was not powerful enough to use payola to get them the kind of success that I'm sure they wanted for them in Korea. But Hybe, as a South Korean-based label, had payola to compete with the U.S. music market and shut out U.S. artists just so that they can get Katseye in there. You think they're competing with Warner Bros. Music, Sony Music, like Universal Music Group? Oh my God. You think Hybe has the money and the influence to do that in America, but they don't have enough money and influence to get Katseye, like, even in the realm, like even in the same vicinity as like a win on a music show when they had to perform in music shows in South Korea. Come on now. It's just logic. It's just a cop. It's just something that people say, and I understand that, but it's very annoying because I like intelligent arguments. These are not intelligent arguments. They're just words people throw around when they're upset at a group they don't like for getting anything, right? Geffen, they're under Hybe/Geffen. Geffen is a relatively large music label that does have connections. And they are managing Katseye. So they get Katseye's people in a room with the right people, and they get them opportunities. People are also acting like that's a sus thing. That's what you're supposed to do. That's called networking. You're supposed to create opportunities for your artists. So that's there's nothing suspicious about that. Like how often do we as K-pop fans get mad at labels or companies because we say they're not really promoting the groups that we like, right? So whenever Hybe and Geffen as a partnership, when they do this correctly and are getting the girls brand deals out the butt, oh my God, getting them brand deals, making sure they're pushing their single to radio and all this other stuff, or like connecting them to some other artist or whatever. People act like that's a suspicious thing when that is kind of exactly what you're supposed to do with your artist. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, Katseye's had a whirlwind year. They've only been here a year. They've had a whirlwind year. So to undermine all of that they have done in this year by saying, like, they wouldn't have needed to do any of this. Again, if this payola thing was a thing, why are they doing anything? Like, why were they doing anything? Why did they have to do Summer Sonic and Lollapalooza and the Gap ad and the like millions of like TikTok challenges, and why they have to post TikTok every single day because they want to increase their profile? Like, why would they need to do any of this? And then they train 12 hours a day. They're on this grueling schedule. They've had like 2 breaks. And why would they be doing any of this if Hybe was just always in the back cutting checks? Like, it's not logical. It's not logical. Okay. So I think I covered most of what I was going to say about the Grammys in general. Oh no, sorry. 2 important things. One, the most important thing I think that makes this Hybe payola thing absolutely fucking absurd. The Grammys Grammy is the name of the award. The people who actually do the nominations and then vote, that is an academy. They're called the Recording Academy. They're called that because there are thousands of them. Thousands. Currently, there are 13,000 people in the Recording Academy who nominate and vote. So put people up for nominations and then vote for the Grammys. 13,000. You are discrediting 13,000 people and somehow saying that they were all influenced and bought off by Hybe just to get Katseye nominated for 2 of the least relevant awards of the night, honestly. Well, no, Best New Artist is important, but Best Pop Duo Performance is not the big guns, as everyone knows, is Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year. Those are like your really big ones, and they're like your major ones in each category, right? So you have like, I guess, Best Rap Album, Best R&B Album, best rock album. You know what I mean? Like, best new artist is like on the list of the really major awards of the night. The one at the very bottom that starts the importance is best new artist. Okay, and then you have where it's getting very niche, like best pop duo performance. Okay, because that's my other area that's annoying me is that people are acting like they were nominated for album of the year. They are not nominated for anything that's unrealistic. They are nominated for best new artist, and they are nominated for best pop duo performance. Best pop duo group/group performance. I'm sorry, I have to keep correcting myself. I have to keep checking my food too. So, okay, so make sure I'm covering everything because I don't want to leave anything out here. And then the second one was, I put VMA award hierarchy. Okay. The buzz in the industry about Katseye potentially being nominated for the Best New Artist Award started the same week. Started very shortly after the VMAs. If you watch the VMA red carpet, they were asking all these celebrities, who are you looking forward to seeing? So many of them said Katseye. Because right after the Lollapalooza performance, I believe that's when Gabriela was, I think it was already out on radio, but it really started gaining traction after the Lollapalooza performance. So they were very much on the radar by the VMAs. And then they were nominated for 2 VMAs. So there's like an award hierarchy, which is like, if you know anything about awards here, so like, for example, if people are nominated for an Emmy, people assume they'll be nominated for like a Golden Globe or something. And then if they're nominated for that, then people assume this is a safe bet for an Oscar, which is like the big guns, right? The Oscars is like the biggest awards for like acting or whatever. And the music industry is very similar in that regard. So like the VMAs is kind of like mid-tier. I would say it's like VMAs, then Billboard, and then the Grammys. So when they were nominated for the VMAs, and it's like all fan voting, I'm pretty sure both things they were nominated for were fan votes. They didn't get one, but then they did get the push performance. But for them to be in that space among these like top 40 mainstream music artists, and then all these celebrities, like really their jump off point for being amongst celebrities and A-listers in the industry. And then to have so much of the buzz be about Katseye, people are talking about them all night. After the end of the show, I'm pretty sure for a long time, they had the most viewed performances, and they just did pre-show performances. They had the most viewed performances of everybody. Then ultimately, of course, as you'd expect, Lady Gaga and Sabrina Carpenter kind of ended up getting the most, but they're like third. They're third, and they did pre-show. They didn't even do the main show. So at this point, it's pretty clear that this is something. And there's major buzz about these girls in the industry. They did an interview with Tetris that came out like a week later. And then he's saying, the word is best new artist. That's what I'm hearing. They did another interview the same day. This didn't come out until like weeks later. Did another interview with AP. And he said the same thing. I'm hearing best new artist. Because at this point, Gabriela was doing stupid numbers. I think it got to number 67. That's massive. That's massive because it was climbing the whole time. It was charting for weeks, over 10 weeks. It's just charting. And it's getting radio play. Danny even said that her friends are always talking about how they hear Gabriela on the radio. So it's getting radio play. And this is very, very important because this is organic charting. This is not payola. This is just having a song on the radio and having that song do really, 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 really well. That's all that happened with Gabriela. Gabriela is now officially their most successful single. As of right now, and I'm gonna repeat that later when I get to it, but as of right now, Gabriela is like number 37 on the Billboard Hot 100, okay? So this is it's a hierarchy because all this is happening around the time of the VMA performance, which is right after Lollapalooza. So it's also the rate at which things are happening for Katseye. It's like they're always being talked about. What else happened at this time? Gap. Gap happened at this time. So the Gap ad, I'm sure I don't need to tell anybody. The Gap ad was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I mean, I don't even understand these numbers, like 9 billion impressions, 400 views. I don't even understand it on TikTok, especially. I don't even understand it. I know it's got 16 million on YouTube. It's the most viewed Gap ad ever. Like, all this happened within a couple of weeks. And something else you may not pay attention to if you're not in the West is what that was a that wasn't just an ad, okay? He wouldn't just flock to that because it looked cool and because it sounded cool, because it was Khalees and it was like Milkshake and Katseye was in it and they looked good. It was it came out as a counter to a huge controversy. Was it intended that way? I don't think so. The timing doesn't add up. I think it was truly a coincidence, but it propelled them into the cultural zeitgeist. It was literally people say cultural reset. They use that phrase too much. This was literally a cultural reset because they were thrown into the pop culture zeitgeist because they came right off the tail end of the Sydney Sweeney ad. Sydney Sweeney has good genes, whatever. People were saying it was about eugenics or whatever, and there was like dripping with like dog whistle, racist dog whistles, whatever. That was a gigantic story. And then here comes this pop group, and you only know their name is Katseye if you never heard their song, and you see that they are diverse and they clearly are from all different parts of the world, and it was better in denim, which in itself sounded like a clapback. Like they looked better in denim than Sydney Sweeney. And that was epic. That was absolutely epic. Now, do I think that Gabriela would have gotten them nominated for Best Duo Group Performance? Yes. But I truly think that that the Gap ad propelled them and pushed them over the edge to get them Best New Artist nomination. Because despite what people think, the Grammys isn't really all about charting. The Grammy Awards is not really all about charting. That's like the Billboard Music Awards, right? It's very solely, it's kind of hugely about charting, the Billboard charts. The Grammys is about charting in the sense that it's sort of like one thing feeds into another. So it's like, if your song is charting, then that means you're getting buzz and you're making impact in the industry and blah, blah, blah. Like that's kind of how the charting is. I will say for a huge part of it, it's not like I love the Grammys. I'm not defending the Grammys. I'm defending Katseye being nominated for Grammys, but I'm not defending the institution. It is largely a popularity contest. And I just think that, if I had to guess, the way I feel like it is that the Gap ad was like 50% of the Best New Artist nomination. And then Gabriela was 25%. Just because of when they would have actually made this determination, I would say if they were nominated today, I would say the Gabriela, just the way it's been charting, like wild, just madness. The way it's been charting, I would say that it was like more than that, more than 25%. But I would say Gabriela's 25%, Gap Ass 50%, and then the Lollapalooza performance is 25%. Because Best New Artist is just saying this is a new artist on the scene. And how have they established prominence and relevance, and what kind of impact have they had? That's all. So now we're getting to this part where people say they don't have any music good enough to be nominated for a blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. That's not even what it's about. They don't have a distinct sound. Doesn't matter. That's not what Best New Artist is about. I mean, that's great if that's a feather in your cap. If people actually feel like the people voting actually feel like on top of everything, you also have music with a lot of substance. You have phenomenal music. That's great, and maybe is what gets you a win. Nomination. People also are forgetting that this is a nomination. They haven't won yet. So if there's someone who feels like they have a bit more, voters feel they have a bit more substance, like, because what if they're just like, okay, we've got all these artists here, we feel like they've made the equal amount of impact. So what are we going to say is going to make one person rise above the rest? Maybe that's when they consider the quality of the music. But that's not part of the nomination. The nomination for Best New Artist is just about impact and prominence. And when that Gap ad flew them into the mainstream, I'm sorry, they were locked in. They were a lock. Okay. And also, again, we have like an award hierarchy. You're getting nominated for VMAs and you're making buzz like this. It was very obvious that they were going to be somewhere in the Grammy conversation. Okay. Even if they didn't get nominated, there would have been articles about them being snubbed for Best New Artist. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, like the controversy, just kind of, yeah. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, yeah, and that Lollapalooza performance truly can't be stated enough. It's 85,000 people for a 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. set. That was really on the shoulders of Gnarly, right? So like that's what was amazing about that now at this point, that's not even their most successful single, and that crowd was 1,000% there for Gnarly. And I don't even want to get into them creating buzz about a song being so bad that people were mad about it and fighting over it, and then within a day or two, not everyone, obviously, that's of course not everyone, but within a day or two, everybody completely flipped on it, and then it just became this like monster in terms of a viral hit. Like, oh my god. So the fact that Gabriela is what's getting them this huge success, and it's their most successful radio hit to date. But then they already had this historic Lollapalooza performance that was off the back of a single that people thought would end their career and created all this buzz and controversy. I discovered them because of Gnarly, because I was like, I've got to know what this song is. People won't shut up about it. They're fighting everywhere. I don't even know who Katseye is. I'm just seeing people fight about the song. I gotta check it out. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant marketing strategy to just release a song like that created that conversation. Okay, so yes, that's all my spiel about Best New Artist. Can't deny it. I don't even see where there's room to. Now, Best Duo/Group Performance. Okay, like I said, Gabriela is currently at number 37 on the Billboard Hot 100. It has had gradual increases on the charts. I watched a video with the president of Hybe / Geffen, and she was just like talking about how proud she was of what the girls have achieved to this point. And one of the things she was listing is just them being at 60s on the Billboard Hot 100. Like, that was like good enough at that point, because that was just climbing the charts and her being proud that they made it to 67. They were expected to actually climb to 35 this week, but it didn't happen. It ended up being 37. But I remember that I got so excited because I saw them at 45 a few weeks ago, and I said, oh my god, they're so close. They're so close. I'm telling you, if they break through the top 40, that's it. Like, they're going to be nominated for something. And it happened. And they went 45, then they went 40, then they went 37. So this has been very gradual, and it's really been off the back of radio play, which is so important. I keep driving that home because that's very organic charting. Danny said her friends had heard it on the radio. We just had a clip. We saw Madison Beer was talking about them on a podcast, I think. I don't know if it was radio or podcast, but she was saying, oh, I only know this song because it comes on the radio all the time. So like, it's really a monster in terms of radio play, and that's why it's been charting over time. It wasn't like it came out and on name recognition alone. It shot to number 20 on the charts, because they at least before now, they didn't have that name recognition, right? And it wasn't because of some TikTok infusion or whatever, like, gassing it up, because that would more be Gnarly, right? That's something that went viral mostly on TikTok, and that boosted it in the charts just a little bit, but that was mostly a viral moment for them, not so much a charting moment for them. So that's why I point out Gabriela, because I think it's a really good song. It's a really nice, fun pop song. It's an easy listen. It's got this really addictive choreography that people are obsessed with, and it absolutely makes sense for it to be to get a performance nomination. I think that everyone can agree that it's a hell of a performance song, right? So yeah, this is another thing that makes perfect sense. There's nothing sus about Katseye being nominated for Best New Artist. There's nothing sus about them being nominated for Best Duo Group Pop Performance. Like, it makes sense to me. So yeah, I think that's all of my notes here. So I just don't get, ultimately my thing is that, and I'm so sorry I keep looking away, I never do this, but I just so happen to had ordered groceries at the time I was recording, so I get these notifications. But yeah, that's kind of my spiel on it. Is it 30 minutes? I think that's about right. That's my spiel on it. I don't want to say that there is not any shadiness in terms of the Grammys, but I just don't get where people, one, like I said, don't even get why K-pop fans are mad because they're not K-pop. I think that absolutely there are artists that I would have liked to see nominated for a Grammy if the Grammys was just about music and it was global. And that's not, because I'm sorry, if any group's fans should be demanding that, or should be sort of slighted if they were talking about K-pop groups that are deserving of Grammys. I mean, NMIXX. But you know, I'm biased, I guess, but I feel like NMIXX is really some of the best music this year in the K-pop scene. Of course, maybe it's too soon because of the last album, but the one before that was awesome. But yeah, like Katseye, they weren't nominated for Best Album. They weren't nominated for Record of the Year, Song of the Year. They weren't nominated for the most prestigious awards. They were nominated for awards that made sense for them to be nominated for. I don't get where all the suspicion is coming from. If you don't like them, you don't like them. I just don't get, but I've never understood that in any fandom. I don't get spending that much time and energy or expending that much time and energy on someone you don't like. And it's like, if people would stop discrediting every single thing that Katseye does, then they wouldn't be suspicious of things Katseye gets as a result of what they do. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you say I don't know, like if you say that Lala was payola or whatever, or if you say that I can't even think of anything else at the moment. But if you keep saying that everything that they are doing, which are the building blocks of their career, if you keep saying that none of that matters and all of that was fraudulently obtained, then yeah, when they get something really big because of it, in your mind, yeah, they didn't earn it because you're taking away all of their hard work. And that's what I don't like about what I'm saying. And that's all the stuff I can't say on Twitter because it takes too long. But I think that there are some great K-pop artists out there. I think that's a separate conversation. One, because Katseye's not K-pop, and two, because it's about how the Grammys is organized currently. So I don't know if the Grammys needs a Best Korean album or Best Korean, maybe they need a separate category, or maybe we should just demand that they be more inclusive in the main categories. But that's none of that is the fault of these girls. Okay, that's my only thing. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, I guess maybe you could say that a lot of artists really, well, I'm trying to say that without being biased. Like, what I'm trying to say without being biased towards any group I like in K-pop is a lot of people could say that the groups that they like put out award-worthy music. But you have to understand that, once again, the Grammys is a Western, mostly American award. I don't know what you would call it, award ceremony? I don't know. Organization. It's kind of an organization. It's mostly American. So they're gonna mainly nominate Americans or Western artists, and they're gonna award them. And again, I'm not saying that that is right. But I am trying to drive home in this moment the distinction between Katseye being K-pop or not being K-pop or whatever. I think this seals the deal on that. Because, as you know what I mean, like, they're very much, really, they've taken off in the States and not so much in South Korea. Like I said, they don't even have a Korean song. Time Lapse was a OST song, and I should say they have one Korean song. I want them to have more. But yeah, I just think that critical thinking should come first. I think that fan wars are stupid. And then I also just think everyone's confused, because why are K-pop fans even mad that a global girl group got nominated for an award in the country in which they've been the most heavily promoted? Like, why wouldn't they be? Regardless of what you think of their music, why wouldn't they be? It would have been really weird if Katseye didn't get, at the very least, Best New Artist. That would have been really, really, really weird when they've been all over the place for the last 4 months. I mean, they've been dominating the airwaves. They, like I said, they've been climbing the charts with Gabriela. They've been linking up with a whole bunch of people. Like, they're top of mind right now. They're pretty big right now. And I'm not saying they're the most popular in the world. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying whatever people are going to say I'm saying. I'm just saying that they did not deserve or had not earned these specific nominations just sounds like hate. There's really no valid argument against it. Like I feel like I've laid out a pretty good case. I try to see things from all different angles. So I'm trying to see a world in which you could say they didn't earn this, but I'm also thinking about how the Grammys operates, what they actually take into consideration, what charts they might look at. Such, for example, Grammys are looking at Spotify, they're looking at the Billboard chart. They're not solely considering the chart, but they might be looking at the rate of the chart, if that makes sense. Something I think that also benefited Katseye is not just everything they did, but it's the rate at which everything happened. It was like bam, 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 like Gnarly, Lala, Gabriela, blah, blah, like the Gap ad. It's like all this stuff is just back to back to back. I don't know who's technically, I think Geffen is mostly managing them. And like for like US promotion, I think Geffen is mostly managing them. And my God, have they done a great job in terms of making sure that their name was out there constantly. Like you take a nap and Katseye has done a thing. Like you could not get away from them the last 4 months if you live in the States. Now, are they a household name? No, and no one is saying that they is. Like, people get mad about things that no one is even saying. Like, they didn't get nominated for the biggest awards of the night. If they did, yeah, somebody's payola was doing something if they got nominated for best album. Right? And no one's saying that they're like a household name on the level of like a Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whatever. No one fucking said that. Like, all people are saying is that Katseye is very popular and they're very, very well known within the industry. So there's nothing suspicious about the nominations that they got. Just because they got nominations other people didn't mean other people weren't deserving. Doesn't mean they're not deserving. That's all. That's my defense. The defense rests. And if you don't hate me for it, like I said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please do all the things in the description that's there. I don't want to be a hot take channel, but I had way too many thoughts to the point where I was being distracted, and I felt like I couldn't do anything else with my night without addressing this. It's just such a big conversation. But yeah, more things to come from them, I'm sure. And I do want to point out, because I know someone in the comments, because unfortunately I know the people who are going to comment most are people who hate Katseye and who disagree with everything I said and who think they shouldn't be nominated. You're welcome to your opinion. I do hope that there's a way for you to respectfully share that opinion, but whatever, it's the internet, so that's probably not realistic. Something that can be mentioned, and I would love to be educated on it, is I think Scooter Braun's name has come up a lot. I don't think it's in fairness because of everything I just said, but I think very much was a good case for why they deserve these particular nominations. But I don't know how much Scooter is involved in their career. I don't know. If it is to the point of just like making connections, I can believe that, because they have definitely made, it seems like, all the right connections. I'm not saying that Scooter Braun is a good person. Unfortunately, this industry does not care what kind of person people are as long as they're making a lot of people money. So I'm not saying that Scooter Braun's a good person. I'm saying that for better or worse, Scooter does have a lot of ties to the industry. That probably is why they've had a lot of doors open for them. But again, I'm saying that you're supposed to do that for your artist. I'm not saying it's good that he's the one doing it, if he is the one doing it. But I'm saying that this is not shade. This is not a shady tactic. You're supposed to open doors for your artists. You're supposed to create opportunities. You're supposed to put them in the right rooms, having the conversations with the right people, getting in collaborations with the right people. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. So if that's what he's doing, then whatever. But like, again, it still doesn't take away from everything I've already said. That they have been working their ass off in the year they've been in the year they've been active, and they were getting things that they deserve. Excuse me, getting things that they deserve because of the work that they put in. And if they're getting a boost, and they're I mean, it's supposed to be a shared experience. We're gonna work our asses off. You're gonna help us get what we need, right? That's what it means to be an artist and to have an agent and to have representation and to be signed under people. It's a machine. It's supposed to work. The artist does the work. You make sure they get what they're supposed to get as a result of that work. You make sure they get the recognition. You make sure they get in the right rooms. You know? So again, not defending Scooter Braun. I think that's the guy who screwed Taylor Swift over. I think maybe I'm not going to go further than that. But I know very little about him. But no, I understand he's not a good guy. But that's something that people have been throwing in their face and trying to use against them to discredit everything that they've done this year, which is totally unfair, because you're basically like saying that screw all the work of these 6 young women. We're just gonna point out this one problematic man and say that everything they get is because of him. So it's all worthless, and that's just not fair. Like, we don't have to get nasty. Like, their nominations, they haven't won anything yet. And it's music, and they don't know you. They don't know me. Like, why are we getting to very nasty places over people that don't know we exist? I just don't see the benefit in that. And at the end of the day, they're such good friends with so many other groups and people in the industry and in the K-pop industry as well, that I just think you gotta, at some point, just let go and just like let go of the anger and just ignore them if you don't like them. But just been a lot of lying and a lot of really nasty comments, which somehow always leads to racist comments about Mono. Funny how that happens. Funny how that's always a place where people go when they get real mad. But for the most part, I hope this is mostly lighthearted, maybe informative, but I'm sure no one's going to agree, right? No one's going to agree on everything. But I just don't get how you could see everything they've done in 2025 and then think that this was not in the realm of possibility for them, especially when it's a lot of it's based on things we've seen with our own eyes and some factual things in terms of charts and streams and stuff like that. Whatever. That's all. That's my 2 cents, my 3 cents, my 5 cents. Thankful to have a channel where I can just post it. Listen, 20 people might watch this, maybe not even that, but I had to get it out. I can't type all this on Twitter, right? But it's got to go somewhere. I've got to get it out of here. All right, but that's all from me. Be happy, be healthy. I hope that regardless, just again, congratulations to the girls and whoever you love. I hope that they also get rewarded for their work, and I hope their work gets acknowledged and recognized on whatever platform or whatever realm that they are in. We all feel so excited and happy. We all want that, like, our that serotonin boost of people we love and support getting their flowers. So whoever you love and support, I hope that you get that too. I hope you get to feel this too. It's a nice feeling, it's very rewarding. So I hope you get it as well. But yeah, I'll be back with actual reactions to music. Bye.